Hello YouTube, and here I am again to bring you another delivery. Today I want to try out something new. I don't want to talk about a game specifically, but I want to talk about a TV show. So I hope you will enjoy it. And today, a bit of controversy maybe, but also a way to look at what can work in terms of storytelling. We gamers all know about Game of Thrones. I loved the first season, I thrilled at the end of the second season, and now I am waiting for every episode to come. But as game master, I want to look at the story in a different way. I want to look at the way the story is told, I want to look at the way the story is built, and I want to take the best for my gaming sessions and learn from the worst. So of course there will be some spoilers ahead, so be warned. And let us begin. There are a lot of things that are done right in Game of Thrones, but also a lot of things that are done not so right. The first season has everything you want to include as a GM in a plot. The spectators are like the players, they discover the world you've crafted for them. They're a part of mystery and also a sense of reconfort. The places and the people are highly based on a world we can relate to. Knights, kings, houses, castles, all the things we know, and then add to that a fair amount of fantasy in the name of White Walkers, dire wolves, sorcery, but only in the shape of superstition, legends, rumors, or something extremely rare and powerful. The atmosphere is set and created, and the atmosphere works. Add to that the plot, which is simple and yet effective. The great question is King Joffrey the real son of Robert Baratheon? Ned Stark wants to know the truth, and as a loyal good character he is willing to reveal the truth, whatever the cost may be. Everything aside the main plot is minor, and only adds color to the world. The end of Ned Stark is dramatic and heroic in a sense, and it questions the place of honor in the world, not only in Westeros, but also in our everyday life. The huge thing about the season 1 of Game of Thrones is the fact that what happens in the show can be related to dilemmas and questions we, the spectators, can face every day. The loss of principle in our world, the fear of the strangers in the shape of the White Walkers, the loss of honor in our world, the pursuit of happiness in the shape of Sansa, etc., etc. We as game masters might want to include this in our gaming sessions, in the campaigns we write. The most unforgettable stories are the ones in which our choices matter. And why do they matter? One possible answer is because these choices tackled an issue we can relate to, a kind of moral dilemma, for example. For example, it can be the good of an individual versus the good of all the people, or it can be the place of honor or love in our society. And this is why the first season of Game of Thrones is really amazing. But then, Game of Thrones does not do everything right. Personally, I didn't quite enjoy the other seasons as I enjoyed the first one. I don't say that they're bad, but I just lost interest, and the reason why is quite simple. It is because of the lack of meaningful acts from the characters. Don't get me wrong, they act as they should act. I mean, their choices are logical and realistic, but they do not offer the same amount of meanings as Ned Stark. Of course, the characters are well written and some issues are at stake, but they're not as impactful, I would say. Some people may argue that in real life, things are not always this way, not everything has a meaning, and they're right. But when I first watched Game of Thrones, I was looking for greatness. I was quite disappointed with the outcomes of the season 2 and season 3. For example, do you remember the moment when Robb Stark refused to marry someone for his bannerman to pass a simple bridge? Well, this could be a meaningful decision if the guy who owned the land where Robb should pass, if this guy was part of a kind of big neutral house, someone who really matters. Then Robb's choice would be so much more meaningful. Should he marry someone he does not love for the good of his quest? Rob refuses and dies for that, and his death is everything but heroic. Here is another example. Do you remember the moment when Sansa flees with Littlefinger? The choice that she had to make was huge. Staying where she's not happy but honoring the will of her king, or flying away and somehow dishonoring her family. Well, in the show, the aftermath of this decision is almost non-existent, or at least it is not enough shown. The choice she had to make just lacks impact. And from there on, I can enumerate multiple examples. Of course, some parts of the show are still awesome, but it's just that I lost interest. I don't say that it was not intended by the author. I just say that this kind of story could not work in our gaming sessions, in our campaign, because of all the reasons I have mentioned. So, what can we learn from that? Well, when the player characters are to make a choice, make it meaningful and impactful. This choice must be hard because the consequences are severe. Always, as a game master, think ahead and determine what is at stake in every important moment of your story. And then, propose to the players a choice that matters. So I won't be too extensive on this subject, but I guess you got my point. So to sum it up, choices that matter. Remember this, my friends, and I hope you'll make a good use of this advice. I hope you enjoyed, and do not hesitate to give me feedbacks. And that's all for today, and see you next time. Have a wonderful day.